Now, I'm not a game dev, and I have no idea how hard it is to get something old to work on newer hardware, but I do know that plenty of people do that all the time, and they go above and beyond. But of course, when it comes to Sonic, surprise, surprise, the only thing they end up remaking accurately is their bad reputation. Hello everybody, I am Garrulous64, and I know I sound a bit pessimistic, but with Sonic Colors Ultimate 3 months away from launch at the time of this video, and it's still looking, a bit less colorful, I guess you could say, it's kinda got me thinking about older Sonic remakes and ports that also had a significant upgrade in the jank department. One of the most famous examples of this, I would have to say, would be Sonic Genesis for the Game Boy Advance, otherwise known as one of the saddest things I have ever seen. And yes, I have seen sad dog videos before, and no, this is still way more sad. Basically, they tried to remake Sonic 1 for the GBA, and I don't even really understand what happened here. Like, I can understand creating an all-new game from scratch and having it be one of the worst things that everyone has ever seen, but like, this should have been simple, right? I mean, the game was 15 years old at that point, so like, from my perspective, if Nintendo can get Yoshi's Island up and running on the GBA and have it be arguably better than its original counterpart, I don't really see why Sonic the Hedgehog 1 suffered so much when they're kind of from the same console generation. The first thing you'll notice about Sonic Genesis is that they added this subscribe graphic to the game, which is a pretty brave decision, honestly, because YouTube was only a year old at the time. They also predicted the future further by adding the bell icon, which you should totally click, because I'm sure nothing but good things will happen if you do. Alright, you got me. That wasn't really in the game. That was just a thinly veiled attempt at getting you to subscribe because, you know, there's a percentage of people that haven't subscribed or whatever. But anyway, sometimes people tell me I'm a bit too negative, so I decided this time I will start with the positives when discussing this remake. So, the music does not reset when you die. I like that. And now the negatives. The music. I wasn't aware I was playing a Flash game. I'm sure you guys remember Sonic Advance. That game came out 5 years before this one did, and it actually includes at least 2 remixes from Sonic 1 itself. And let me tell you, those songs don't sound like I spent 12 minutes in a free-to-use MIDI maker to make them. And the sound effects, like, geez, they just really give off some bootleg energy when they actually decide to play, because sometimes they just don't. Some of them don't even resemble the original sound effects at all, which makes me feel like they might have been placeholders, and that also leads me to the question of, do you think this game was finished? Because if you told me it wasn't, I would believe you, because that's a running theme with some of these games. Certainly a rough year for Sonic Team, opposed to every other year, which is totally not rough. Now, what's more important than the audio? Well, yeah, the gameplay, you know, the thing that actually makes it a game. I learned pretty recently that I'm not the biggest fan of Sonic 1, but this remake takes that to a whole new level. Upon closer examination of this footage, I'm sure you can see the issue for yourself. Yes, you're right, I'm playing a Sonic game. Second issue, the cameraman didn't realize that he left his camera on 10 times zoom for the entire game, which makes most enemy interactions look like this. Even if you know the layout of this game, you will suffer. Not only is it impossible to see where you're going or where you've been, but the game decides to slow to a crawl whenever there are too many things on screen. Must be the lack of blast processing in the Game Boy Advance. Clearly the hardware's fault. Case closed. Let's look at our friend Robotnik now. He hovers down from the top of the screen in his little smart car, and dang, this screen ain't big enough for the two of us. Fortunately, the boss just won't hit you half the time, even though it looks like he should, so, it's not really that big of a deal. God, I'm so tired. But surely the special stages must be okay, you say to your screen, despite the fact that I can't hear you. No, of course they're not. Why would anything in this be okay? The jump and momentum physics in this stage are so borked that it just felt like Sonic was magnetized to the death spheres. But you know, at least they added an easier to access level select and the spin dash if you want it. But you know what also adds the spin dash? Pretty much every Sonic ROM hack and other port in the world. Do not ever play this unless you want to be miserable. Just baffles me, like, how did it turn out this way? Like, was there any possibility of this actually being a good game? How do magnets work? I'll never get any of these answers. Well, anyway, I made it to Marble Zone 2, and then I decided to give up, because I've already tortured myself with Sonic 1 this year, and I'm not the masochistic type, contrary to what my content library might suggest. Now, pop quiz. What is my favorite Sonic game? Wrong, it's none of these. Especially not that one. It's actually Sonic Adventure, and even though it's not as much of a train wreck as Sonic Genesis, Sonic Adventure's remake, Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut Turbo Edition Deluxe with new funky mode, is also a bit of a problem, depending on who you ask and, of course, what you are playing it on. Before anyone says anything about being blinded by nostalgia for the original, let me tell you, I was a Nintendo kid, and I still am. So I never owned a Dreamcast. The first time I ever played Sonic Adventure, or any Sonic game for that matter, was the DX version on GameCube. Yeah, I didn't realize all the discourse around the two versions until I was a little bit older. They're kinda right though, because even though this should have been an easy re-transition into 3D, it's a bit rough. The most obvious change here is the character models of the game. They've seen a bit of a facelift, and honestly, that's not something that I would put against the remake, because this is definitely down to preference. Sure, I do like the retro charm of the original models, and I absolutely love the way Sonic looks absolutely insane when he animates. But the modern models are very sleek, except for Big and Gamma, who don't really look any different at all. You can like either set of these models, it doesn't matter to me, it doesn't make the game any worse. It's just like how you can like either set of sprites from either Bowser's Inside Story or its DX counterpart. It's kind of weird that they're both DX, but you know what? It just gives me another opportunity to talk about this game. See, my problems will always lie on the technical side of things. Whereas I don't love the new sprites of Bowser's Inside Story, I do not at all appreciate the fact that it now runs at 30 FPS for no reason. What was up with that? This is one of the most beautiful games on the entire 3DS, and it would have looked really good at 60 FPS. Nintendo! God, they have an entirely different problem with ports. But if I get into that right now, we will never see the end of this video, so I'm gonna save it for another time. As for Sonic Adventure DX, it does a pretty good job of updating the classic game and adding a couple new features, such as an expansive mission mode, Metal Sonic for collecting all of the emblems, which can be used in Sonic's trial mode levels. You get GBA connectivity for the Chow Garden, which is still one of the coolest things I've seen in a very long time. And you also get a bunch of Game Gear games to play as you're collecting the emblems. I never really messed with the mission mode or the Game Gear stuff, but it's a really nice touch and I appreciate the effort. Something I'm less okay with though is, I don't know, hypocritically I guess, again, the visuals. Because if you just take a look here, of course it's nighttime, and we can see that. Sonic is definitely looking like he be in the night. But if you look at the same scene again in Sadix, it kind of looks like Sonic partook in some of the forbidden Kool-Aid from inside a glow stick, because this man is positively shining. The whole game shows issues like this with lighting and other graphical stuff, and it's not really that big of a problem when you're a kid and you don't know any better, but now that I have the ability to hate, I'm furious. There are also some issues with collision here and there, and while that's a big issue, the good still kinda outweighs the bad. But speaking of bad, the PC port of Sadix is where I draw the line, and that's the whole reason I wanted to bring this up today. The one thing I'm not gonna yell about is the fact that we lose GBA connectivity. There's an obvious reason for that, I'm sure you can figure it out. But you know, where did all those little Game Gear games go? Did you guys lose the rights to Sonic? But don't worry though, now you can play Sonic Adventure DX on your modern hardware in a 4:3 aspect ratio, so you can just pretend you're playing a Game Gear game. I don't care what the actual resolution of the Game Gear is, this is disgusting. I can sort of forgive this because the game's like $8 on Steam and it goes on sale all the time. I've seen it as low as $1. But was it that hard to just make this game widescreen? And that's a problem that persists to this very day. When the Sonic Origins collection was revealed, Sonic 3 and Knuckles was in 4:3 in the trailer. But then it was later confirmed to be in widescreen on Twitter, and I just don't understand why they would even leave room for that to be questioned if they're trying to, like, you know, woo the fan base. My point is, history has shown us that lackluster ports and things like this are kind of a given. So when we see stuff like that, it doesn't really surprise us, it just kind of makes us go, whew boy. Thankfully though, with the better StatX mod, which is a very easy thing to install, you can play pretty much the best version of Sonic Adventure DX on PC. And that of course includes widescreen at pretty much any resolution. You've got the lighting and graphical fixes, you've got collision fixes, you've got optional Dreamcast models, the restored Game Gear library, and much, much more. It is very worth your time, and if you have $8 laying around, you don't have this game, definitely check that out. And finally, that brings us to Sonic Colors Ultimate. The year is 2021, and yet more controversy is blooming. The game is also blooming. Look at all that bloom. 3 months away from release, and I think this looks gross. The Sonic colors are less Sonic colorful, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Sonic's model looks weird. He looks so strange. It looks like they just like slapped him in over the footage. It almost looks like they slapped him on top of a green screen. I mean, like, that always looks bad. And I feel like I need to mention that this one isn't even being made by Sonic Team, so I'm convinced that it's just Sonic himself that is cursed. Either that, or Sonic just has the absolute worst luck in the universe, which I would also believe. The only bright side I can see to this is that modders will probably be able to fix Colors Ultimate just like they did with StatX PC, but of course the downside with that is that if you buy this game on consoles, it's probably gonna be lackluster forever, and for that, I am eternally sorry, but also, haha, PC Master Race. Just kidding, I like Nintendo a lot. This video is over. I've complained enough for today. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Yes, hello, you've reached the end of the video now. Don't be alarmed that you don't see me on screen anymore. That body is simply a puppet that I use to pilot these episodes, for in reality, I am a fourth-dimensional being. But living in the real world means that money still matters even to a fourth-dimensional being, so I would like to give a huge thank you to my current supporters, who are Mailman019, The Ghost, Roblox Gamer, Kaido the Samurai, Danny Lee Dauber, Mike TGC, Chaotic Mercenary, Sansboy, T-Bone APH, Royal Blueburn, The 7 Superstars, Crystal, Ty Little Tech Guy, Raiden Still Plays, PM13, Crazy Sean DX, Chaosk, Jeremy, Dork in a Hat, and Mega Traffic Cone. And on Patreon, we have both T-Bone APH and Mailman19 again. Thanks to the both of you guys yet again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.